Marcus Rashford and Anton Martial's career at Man United is really in trouble as far as their career is really concerned here onto the United Matters channel. Welcome to this channel. Smash like button, comment and share if at all you're watching us for the very first time. Endeavor to subscribe to this channel so as not to miss out on stories that we do upload in here on a daily. Anton Martial, Scott McTominay in the mix. Then Scott McTominay had a lot to say after that game that went ahead to score a brace as Man United beat Chelsea by 2-1. Welcome to this channel, and we thank God for the gift of life. The Muslim is Barakallahu Fikum. We're here and you want to hit 17,000 subscribers. So guys, continue to subscribe to this channel so as not to miss out on stories that we do upload in here on a daily. Now, yesterday, Erik Ten Hag went ahead and really exactly what we wanted. We are calling in for him not to really start certain players like Marcus Rashford, and he went ahead to obviously do that. But players like Anton Martial are not so much into the plan of Erik Ten Hag because they've gone ahead to really do exactly what they've gone ahead to do. He's an injury-prone player, and for him, he's not going to be a person we talk a lot about because he was given a chance last season as the main man at the club of Man United, and he couldn't obviously be readily available. Though every time he played, we looked a better team, but injuries were a part of him, and his glass legs just went ahead to obviously put a caveat to his career at the club of Man United. And no one will at any one point really miss him, because if at all you are given a chance by the manager like Erik Ten Hag and he really throw it in the mud, then how do you expect him to obviously come in through and really get you to where he deserves to be? So as it stands, for him, it's already known, and he's really one of those that have really gone ahead to obviously come in through and do the needful. But I want to let you know that let's start it off with Marcus Rashford. And before we go into Marcus Rashford, let's discuss and really see the origin or the synopsis of all this. It came in through from Patrice Evra when he was talking to Prime Video Sport that I think it will be tough for Marcus Rashford and Anton Martial to come back into the starting 11. McTominay reminds me a little bit of Frank Lampard recently. Now, let's really run the tape back on Marcus Rashford and Anton Martial. For Marcus Rashford, I really saw him in the preseason when he wasn't the player he was. That is it. I really understand that people come out and say that it's all about the player getting into the team and really having one of the best memories at the club of Man United, and he needs to obviously need a preseason to obviously get where he's supposed to be. Now, for Marcus Rashford, his body language was poor. Even when United was playing the United States of America, his body language was really poor, and no one could obviously understand what really happened. And if at all you remember, in the season of 2020, in the summer of 2022, when Erik Ten Hag had come in, you saw what Rashford did. Rashford went ahead to really have a very good training before he even met up with the club of Man United, you know. But this time round, I never saw him really putting in that effort, meaning that all his desire and reason were to go ahead and obviously get a contract at the club of Man United, and he got it. He's earning £350,000 a week at the club of Manchester United, and now, having gotten that contract, he is less bothered of what is happening at the club of Man United, and that is the most worrying bit of it all, that a player of a caliber of Marcus Rashford is not putting in a shift. And I've gone ahead and really told you that these are kind of players we shouldn't be having at the club of Man United. They are earning a lot of money and they cannot put in a shift consistently. What makes a player, a United player, is really putting in a consistent effort. You see that Scott McTominay guy, every time he puts on that jersey of Man United, he gives us the best he can. He's not a talented player who will give you what Declan Rice gives you, maybe Enzo Fernandez gives you, Jude Bellingham gives you, Kevin De Bruyne, Rodri, and so on and so forth. But what he gives you is what he has. So that's why I really get to understand a lot about him, that everything is really very, very important. And please, I'm recording. Don't look at me. So Scott McTominay gives you exactly what he really deserves to get, and everything that he obviously gets you on the field of play is what he gives you. But for Marcus Rashford, ever since he made his debut in 2016 against Midtjylland and he scored to a brace, then he came in through over the weekend and scored against Arsenal, and then he scored a brace against Arsenal, then he scored against Manchester City, and he made his breakthrough into the starting 11 of Man United. We've all been saying that he is really one of those players that is obviously going to come in through and really become that next big thing. We know that he makes the biggest shot sales at the club of Man United, but he is not really doing exactly what he's supposed to be doing, because inconsistency is really part of his game. And if I'm to remember, the only season I remember the only seasons I remember Rashford being consistent was the season of 2019-2020. Marcus Rashford went ahead to score 21 goals. The season of 2020-2021, Marcus Rashford went ahead to score 22 goals. So that's when I saw him being consistent for 2 seasons. But the next season, he was off, and then the season of 2022-2023, he came in through and really scored the goals. Then after this season, in the very many games that we're going to have to play, he only has 2 goals, and some assists, like 4 assists. So it's really bad of him. And when you look at how he performed against Newcastle, obviously, the manager never could have gone ahead to start him in this game of Chelsea that United won. And when you saw how Anthony played, how Garnacho played, the 2 positions that he can come in through and really start, or even Rasmus Højlund, he cannot come anywhere close to them. That's why Patrice Evra is saying it's going to be hard for Marcus Rashford to obviously get back into the team of Man United. And everything that Marcus Rashford is doing is a reflection that he's one of the unhappy players at the club of Man United, because if you're happy, you're supposed to put your body on the line every time you are named into the starting 11 of Man United. But every time he's named into the starting 11 of Man United, this man doesn't put in a shift this season. He doesn't track back, he down tools, and he is really selfish. Even when Bruno Fernandes came up and really told us that the reason that's why he gave him a penalty when you're playing Everton, that they need to see him get back to his levels like he was last season. He couldn't obviously notice that and obviously pick up. If Rashford of last season, who scored 30 goals a season, meets Rashford of this season, they can fight, because they are 2 different kind of players altogether, and there is no way they can obviously get into the same shell. So Marcus Rashford needs to realize that it's going to be hard for him to get in the starting 11 of Man United, because players like Amad Diallo are coming in through. When Amad Diallo really returns, of course, in the next 1 or 2 weeks, he's going to be back, and he puts in a shift. That means Marcus Rashford will even make it hard. It will be hard for him to make it off the bench, because even the Facundo Pelestris of this world, every time they've gone ahead to be given a chance, they've gone ahead to utilize it. So the manager really wants players who are really going to run and work hard for the team of Man United and defend the badge. Rashford, ever since this one started, I've not seen him defending the badge. Not at all. Not at all. He has gone ahead to obviously come in through and really put himself in worst footsteps. So for Marcus Rashford, it's going to be hard for him to get the starting 11, because the number that he likes to play more, and he always told us that I would love to play on the left a lot, that's where Garnacho is. Garnacho yesterday had a hand in both of the goals we scored, but most people just remember the assist made for Scott McTominay for the goal we scored in the 69th minute of the game. So there is no way he can really get Garnacho out of that position. The only way he can get into that is when Garnacho gets an injury, of which I believe he is really training well. He's fit and is obviously keeping himself well by not going into leisure activities, and he obviously rests a lot. What makes most players really get injured? It's all about them not resting well and what they eat. Like, for example, if you eat meat is bad for the body, and that's why every team now has a nutrition doctor, and Erik Ten Hag came in through and really brought in a nutrition doctor at the club of Manchester United, and he tells the players you should be eating like this, because the food that we eat is responsible for the energy and how fatigued our bodies will be. So Garnacho for me all day, and Marcus Rashford should play off the bench, because the amount of money you earn weekly, that is £350,000 a week, shouldn't be the reason you get onto the field of play. If you cannot come in and put in a shift, then there is no way you're obviously going to put it in the starting 11. Look at Sancho. He has been exiled by Erik Ten Hag, but he earns £350,000 a week. That is Sancho for you. So Ten Hag has shown us that he can get rid of players who really earn a lot of money. Look at Rafael Varane, £300,000 a week, and Erik Ten Hag doesn't want him anywhere near the club of Man United because of not performing. When you go to Anton Martial, I think for him it's a matter of time, and I don't think that his contract is going to be renewed, though would have gone ahead to get like 20 million euros or 30 million euros from his sale that could impact our transfer season. I think we just have to trigger that 1 year and really sell him off. That is it, because his contract runs off 30th July 2024. 30th June 2024. So trigger it and sell him off, because we cannot have a striker who is really not readily available. That's why you see, is it Gurusai, that a striker for Stuttgart is being looked at Man United, such that they bring him in and he gets involved into the club of Man United a lot, and then everything will go on as planned. Then he talked about Scott McTominay. Scott McTominay has gone ahead to really score 6 goals at the club of Man United, and this season, plus the international goals, he has 13 goals throughout the season, and is doing really wonders, and is doing really well for the club of Man United. But as I told you, my worry for Scott McTominay is he is not doing exactly what his position calls him to do, and Ten Hag might find means of obviously putting him in the club of Man United. He should look out for a system, like maybe he plays a 3-2-4-1, like you see Man City. You play with three central defenders, then you play with a double pivot like of Amrabat and Casemiro, then you put Scott McTominay ahead of them and Bruno Fernandes, as you play Garnacho and maybe Anthony. Then Rasmus Højlund leads the line, because you need to find Scott McTominay a role in a team that is going to play ahead of the double pivot, and he cannot obviously bench Bruno Fernandes because he's the captain of the team and he puts in a lot of shifts. So I think if he says reminds him of Frank Lampard, maybe, you never know, because those are the positions where Frank Lampard was. Frank Lampard was not all that an elite player, but he will be remembered a lot for the goals he scored, because he reached an extent when he's a creator for Didier Drogba and he could score more goals than Didier Drogba. So that's what Scott McTominay is turning into, and maybe that is what Patrice Evra is really saying. And he might really go ahead and really score even 20 goals a season for the club of Man United this season. He can do that. Now, Scott McTominay, the man that was being talked about by Patrice Evra, had the following to say after the game of football, after he put in a very good shift. He says, "I thought we started really well. The fans are happy. It was a abysmal display against Newcastle, to be honest. The boys were so upset with how we coped with the game. This is a game we can build on. I've always enjoyed getting into the box, and maybe on another night I could have scored 1 or 2 if I calm down. That's football. I'm delighted to score 2, but we've got to show the consistency. We've got to show that consistently. That is it. Obviously, he would have gone ahead to score a hat-trick yesterday if at all he composed himself better into the mouth of the goal of Chelsea. But all in all, he has gone ahead to really make the headlines. He's really one of those players that you look at and really understand that, yeah, he's really doing good progress under Erik Ten Hag. Then Patrice Evra had to sum up and really talked about the team spirit of Man United. He said every player on the pitch today or yesterday, they were determined. They knew they had to do that after the disaster in Newcastle, and they did so. Fair play to them. Obviously, they put in a shift, and I think Ten Hag now knows his starting 11. And my biggest worry for me has always been, why isn't Amrabat not starting? Why isn't Amrabat not playing? But he finally got him on the field of play, and that is exactly the reaction we wanted from the manager of Manchester United. So guys, thank you very much for watching through. Rokan David is my name, and I call upon for your reactions into the comment section below about Rashford and Martial's tenure at Man United in danger. What do you make about it? And Scott McTominay plus Patrice Evra's input into that result of yesterday as we beat Chelsea by 2-1. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel so as not to miss out on stories that we do upload in here on a daily. See you.